Welcome back, everyone, to Halloween Haunts 365.com, the podcast. I'm Jared.
Hi, I'm Terry.
We have a fun episode for you today, but first, I'm going to have you check out this podcast with a really sexually individual running it. Okay. All right, so we have Johnny Bronto from HauntScene. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing great. I am just happy to be here.
Oh, yeah. So let's start at the beginning. I mean, I know about HauntScene, but other people might not. Tell us about HauntScene.
So, HauntScene, we are a travel show for everything haunts, bites, and frights. So, anything spooky we get our hands on, we mainly do haunted attractions, but we travel all over the country. The long-term goal for us is to do one haunt in every state. We're almost halfway there. And we travel, we do things year-round, but mainly is August, September, October, November. That's kind of our bread and butter. But yeah, that's what we do. We just want to promote the haunt industry and our spooky friends, and that's what we do. It's not really about it's not what about us. It's about what we can promote and about what we can showcase.
Right, yeah. Familiar,
Nice. Yes,
huh?
very familiar.
No, but I found you guys a few years back, and it's just always impressing with everything you guys did. And so I would definitely wanted to get you on and go deeper into that, and so people around here can also hear about you.
Deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Really deep. How deep do you want to go?
We're going to go pretty deep. So, where did your love for the haunt industry begin?
Weirdly enough, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I moved down here in 2007 here to Orlando, Florida. And all the while I was growing up, there was always a big haunted house in Pontiac, Michigan called Erebus.
Right.
Huge. It used to be like the world record holder for like the longest haunt. And it was like a big deal, but it really wasn't my thing. And then when I moved down here to Florida, after about a year or so, I was dragged to Halloween Horror Nights one night by some coworkers. Didn't know what it was. I had barely even been to Universal or anything like that. And it just blew my freaking mind. It awoken something in me that needed the creepiness. And then after being a Horror Nights nerd for a couple of years, I discovered that there were independent haunted attractions. And then that's where everything started. I think the Shallow Grave that used to be in Winter Haven here in Florida was like my first like legit independent haunt, and then I was just hooked at that point. And then in 2015, right before the haunt season, my original co-host and I went back and forth over an entire summer about what the name of the damn thing would be, and then we picked HauntScene, and then everything. It's been the rest is history, as they say, I guess.
Very cool.
Awesome.
So about 2007. Okay.
Well, 2015 for the show.
Yeah.
2007 is when
For
I moved
you.
to Florida. Yeah.
Very cool.
Look at that little Freddy guy back there. What are those little media badges you got going there?
Yeah, our tickets and everything from the years.
Right. Yeah. We hang them from we do a very similar thing here in the HauntScene studio.
Yeah, one of my minions found him for me, and I had to get him. Huge Freddy fan, as you could probably tell. But yeah, he became our third member.
Oh, that's cool.
He's wearing my old Halloween Haunts hat and everything. That our little board behind us is. It'll be easier to see once you see the show, but it's our favorite actors or stuff. Some of the awards the owners took pictures of with the actors and everything. So there's a way to show it off and have fun with it.
Yeah.
So when did the idea of content creation around haunted attractions begin? Like, what gave you that urge?
Well, back in the old days of 2015, there wasn't a lot of this as far as promotion for spooky stuff. There were a couple very small things, but there wasn't anything that was. I'm going to go ahead and just say accessible to the masses. Like, it was very niche, and the way we target our content is we're trying to get the normies to do the haunts, right? because all the spooky people, they find this stuff, when those are definitely our fans, but we want to bring all this stuff to the masses and kind of blow up the haunt industry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's similar to how we 2015 we went to like a bunch of haunts.
Mhm.
I've been in and out of them my entire life. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. We had dark rides, we had little attractions, we had Castle Dracula, the real old school stuff.
Nice.
And she grew up around it too. So one year we just went out, did a bunch of haunts, and then I read the USA Today top 10 and literally had a shit. And I was like, what are they talking about? So
Right.
I'm like, all right, I'm starting a review page. So I look into it. I'm like, all right, there's other groups. But I noticed like every group loved every attraction. I'm like, that doesn't help anything. So I still don't know which ones are good. So we started as a little haunt review website and then turned it into a podcast, YouTube, whatever the hell we feel like covering. But I think we mainly bring the actors in and
Yes.
support them, and really that's what it's turned into.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
Very, very similar. We have like our show season from April through July, and then we do our haunt season preview in August, and then our traveling is from September, October, usually well into November, and we just go as long as we can. And I've always wanted to dial it back a little bit. Like the last 2 years, like 2020 and 2021, we did 30 haunts each that year. And this last year I did 47. And I had just told my crew, I'm like, we're going to dial it back. And apparently we didn't. So
How the hell
Yeah.
did you
I
hit
was just gonna ask
47
that.
haunts?
Like how?
Well, I mean, we do everything we can in Florida. Florida's our home state, so we try to support everything that is safe and not a cash grab here.
Yeah.
So that's a good number. And then we always do a road trip every year to hit up about 3 or 4 states. So we hit like 10 haunts. We did Georgia, we did Ohio, we did Kentucky, Tennessee, we did Indiana. So we hit 10 haunts on that one. That trip was pretty crazy. And then right at the end of the season, this is kind of the bonus, is I went and I did the 11 haunt bus tour for Fear Expo in Michigan.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, I'm not saying I'm padding my numbers or anything, but that definitely put a lot of haunts in a very short span.
Yeah. That's a way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like we went balls to the wall. Like I have 2 kids. We both work full time. So like when I put amazing enough, our whole schedule went flawlessly. We didn't hit rain. We only switched up one to make one night a little easier because we were dragging. Because we
Yes.
normally did, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe 20 a year
I think
before.
18. I think it
18 was the high.
18.
And last year we hit 28. So like we
Nice.
doubled our numbers. But like we have a guy around here called the Haunt Finder General.
Sean Padalecki? Yeah, I've never met him, but I'm a big fan because he just goes like all over and does all the things.
I think he said he hit 57 this year.
That's pretty crazy.
Like, there's some I go to where, like, could I go to another one that night? Yeah, but I'm having fun here. I don't want to.
Yeah, we discovered the optimal haunt limit is 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
When we did our road trip, we did 4 haunts in one night because the haunts in Indiana are very compact, like really, really
So,
close.
like, one attraction or just...
Well, we consider one haunt one entity. So it doesn't matter how many trails or how many houses or whatever.
Yeah.
When we park our car, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Like Halloween Horror Nights, one thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Because I was wondering if that's the way he did it, was like a lot of them were just one attractions, and that's how he was able to do like maybe 4 a night.
I think he must take like 2 or 3 months off of work and just go.
Because I know he goes with his girlfriend. They were at Hotel of Horror the night we were. I didn't have a chance to talk to him. I met him once at Field of Screams for the media night. Nice guy.
I really want to go to Field of Screams.
You need to come up here, man.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's on our list.
Yeah, there's so much up here that you will not be sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we're going back up to the Northeast this fall. We went up there, my co-host and I, a couple years ago. We did like Haunted Overload, Fright
Yeah.
Kingdom, Legends of Fear, Brighton Asylum, a Dark Manor. I mean, we did some really good ones up there, and I love the Northeast because you actually get fall. I mean,
Yeah.
here in Florida, like even during the spooky season, it's still 90 degrees out every day, so it sucks.
Oh, I know. I went to HHN once, and it was good. I had fun, but man, there's
Yeah,
no reason I should be sweating in a haunt line.
yeah, it's pretty. And it's gotten so busy and that's kind of the natural, like we started off, like I said, I was like a big Horror Nights nerd, and after I started the independent stuff, I'm glad, because Horror Nights these days, if you don't go and get like a tour or like an express pass or something like that, good luck getting through all the things. It's just way too many people there. I love it, but it's, to us, as much as we love Halloween Horror Nights, to me it's just become like just another haunt that we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not the only one.
No.
I mean, especially with all these independents really just killing it. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
So, how much time a week do you take for HauntScene? I know the answer to this, but
So I would probably say in the non-spooky season, it's probably like a part-time job. It's constant schmoozing and connecting with people and talking to people and consulting and planning and doing all this stuff and whatever. But I think during the spooky season, it feels like another full-time job, because it's just a blur. And I take some long weekends and things, but my day job is, thankfully I'm like salary, and I like work Monday through Friday, like 8 to 5 kind of thing. But yeah, it does feel like a full-time job for a couple months. So usually when it gets to after the haunt season, like mid-November, getting into like the middle of December, I'm like, don't talk to me.
Mhm.
I need to recharge.
Yep.
I'm all
Right.
burned out. And then we got Christmas haunts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it was funny because, like, most of the time I'm amped up for Christmas because it's been a fun couple months since we've been in a haunt. I'm ready to go. This year, after doing so many, I was like, I guess we'll go. I mean, it'll be fun. I wasn't all jacked up like I normally am.
It's hard. It's so hard to keep that energy going for months on end, and then it literally goes off a cliff, because from a content creator standpoint, one of the things that I've learned is after November 1st, nobody cares about haunts. Like, people have moved on to Thanksgiving, and they've
Right.
moved on to Christmas, and you post anything, last week it got 1,000 likes. This week it gets like 2.
Yeah. Instantly, like November
Yep.
1st. It's frustrating because you're still working on it. You're still
Yeah.
putting out content, and you watch your subscribers that are, oh shit, we got 6 new ones today. Nice day. Oh damn, 7 today. Cool. And then it's down to, we didn't get one all week. You guys alive?
It's hard. It's just hard. People's attention spans are very short when it comes to seasonal stuff.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, how many people are involved with HauntScene?
Currently, I normally run with a crew of 5, although a couple people will swap out because of availability. They can't make stuff because they got to work or they've got kids and things like that. But that's about the number I like to run with, and everybody has their own specialty. We got a photographer, we got a TikTok person, I'm the schmoozer, and we kind of divvy everything up. So usually when we get to a haunt, it's like break, and everybody goes and does what they need to do. So five.
Why are you looking at me?
It's time for you to pull your damn weight.
I talk to people.
Yeah, she's my people person.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
It's nice to have help.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't make any money. We're not in this to make any money. We do this for the haunt. So everything we do usually comes out of our own pocket, and we can only do what they're my friends, but they're also volunteers, and they have their own, we all have our own financial constraints, at least at this point. We're trying to figure that out. We got a couple ideas about how to fix that, but right now it's a volunteer operation.
I hear you completely. Same way here.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes we get lucky with a couple of the haunts, but other than that, it's just us seeing what we can do.
Yeah.
Damn, I just had a question in my head and it popped out. Go ahead.
So Johnny Bronto, what is your favorite movie of all time?
We get there. What are some bucket list haunts left on your list?
So I really want to do Field of Screams. I want to do the Penhurst. I've done a lot of the kind of big, what I call the big box, the big name ones.
Yeah.
I've never been out west yet, so I want to go to California. I want to do Horror Nights out there. I want to do Knott's. I want to do Dark Hour. I want to do Terror on the Fox in Wisconsin. So I've got my hit list. It's just a matter of getting there. Usually we pick about 3 or 4 new states a year.
Yeah.
And it's really easy on the East Coast when the states are all squished together. But when it's time to go to Wyoming,
Yeah.
that's gonna kind of slow our progress a little bit.
You'll find 1 instead of 7.
Yeah, hey, it counts. Like I said, we're gonna do one haunt in every state. We've done 20 states. I think we've done 112 different locations. And I think when I retire, because it's probably gonna take me another 10 years, my last 2 states will be, I'm gonna go to Alaska and I'm gonna fly to Hawaii, and that's gonna be it. And I'm probably just gonna stay there. I'm done. Somebody take HauntScene over, because I think I'm done at this point.
Oh, I just had the Night of Terror general manager with me on my other podcast, and he goes, I can't wait to retire this shit so I can start following you around.
I do have a lot of friends that run haunts here, especially in Florida, and they'll ask like, hey, why don't you get involved with a haunt? Well, the reason why, as much as I love the haunt industry and I've learned a lot about it, I couldn't, because it would stop me from traveling. That's the one thing. If you talk to haunters, that's like the haunter's lament, is I'm so involved with my haunt, I can't go out and do a lot of other stuff, even though they want to. So
yeah, that
is true.
Like, we had an idea for a show where I would go guest act for a night. I'm like, but then I don't get to see the haunt.
Yeah, I've tried it a couple times, and I have a couple costumes and things and a couple silicone masks, but I don't have the attention span for that, because like you said, I'm there to see the haunt, and I could scare act for about maybe an hour or 2, and then my brain's like, oh, okay, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, I'll be picking at the scene and like,
Yep.
oh, what's this made of?
Yeah, you would be the same way.
I got to give it up to the characters, man. They're hardcore. That's what drives the haunt industry, is those people that can go that hard for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours or more a night. They're awesome. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Like, animatronics are fun, but it'll never pull off what an actor can do.
Yeah, they're a good supplement.
Yeah, they're entertainment. Yeah, have you been to the Dent Schoolhouse yet?
Oh yeah, many times. Love Bud, love Maximus, Pumpkin Smasher's my boy. He's actually like my clone. He's my stunt double. He's either I'm Max 2.0, or he's like Beta Max or something like that. So love that man to death. He's super nice. We met him years and years ago. I think I've been back to Dent about 3 or 4 times. It's just, when you go to certain states, you have to stop by the haunt. Like if you go to Georgia, you got to go to Netherworld. Like literally, if you try to go to Georgia and you don't go to Netherworld, they will pull you over at the border and give you a ticket because you didn't go to the damn haunt you needed to. And I feel like it's the same thing. Like every time I'm in Michigan, I do Erebus. Every time I'm in Ohio, I do Dent. So, there are these like staple things you got to do if you're in the certain area.
Yeah, I'm still pissed. I was in Cleveland. Well, I was an hour away from Cleveland for work on Halloween, but I was feeling like shit. So I was just like, and I had a rough day the next day. So I was just like, you know what? We're just going to have to go another time. And I've been kicking myself in the butt ever since.
I knew you would.
If you go to Dent in like the Cincinnati area, you can also go right across the bridge right there into Kentucky, and there's also an awesome haunt, the USS Nightmare. Oh my God, that was really cool. And I love it when you can do more than one thing in a night.
Yeah.
Don't go too crazy. Like I think we did 4 haunts in a night on the road trip, and I couldn't tell them apart. So yeah.
My buddy bought me a voice recorder for that because they were mixing together.
Yeah, like that's a new thing that we're going to do this upcoming year, is after we get out of a haunt, if we're doing multiple haunts a night, is just like everybody name off what they remember, rooms and stuff.
And you try to do that.
Yeah.
You really do. We attempt, but you're pushed into the next attraction so fast that you don't want your cell phone out, like that. So I've got a tiny little recorder where when I'm passing the scene, I could just be like, "Butcher scene," and then I'll remember when I get out. Because I'll mix stuff up if they're right after another and there's no like wait time,
Mm.
and the actors are always yelling at me. This was in this one. I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's because haunts are a form of entertainment. It sometimes it's hard to remember the exact details, and I think it was like I don't know who said this, like Maya Angelou or somebody said that, it's not about the details. You're not going to remember everything. You're just going to remember how you felt.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take that away, like this haunt was awesome or made me feel a certain way or it was scary or whatever, or was funny or had great interactions or whatever, that's the main takeaway that we do when we go to haunts, because we don't review haunts. We're more of there to absorb enough out of the haunt to be able to turn around and promote it, because we want people out there going and doing haunts.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, haunts are closely related to horror movies.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite horror movie?
I do. I've got a couple. I have many.
Yeah.
But just to kind of keep it like genre here, I love the House of October Built series. Big fan of both of those. Love Zach Bobby. We just hung out with them at Trans World. They run Haunt Society, which is like a national directory for haunted houses. They're super duper cool, super nice to talk to. I like to think a lot of these movies are in the same like haunt cinematic universe. So I also think I love the movie Haunt, awesome. I love the Hell House movies. I like Hellfest. I like movies that have haunted attractions in them.
Yeah.
But I love all horror movies, man. We could be here all day.
That's fine. Yeah, Hell House LLC is my favorite haunt movie, like haunted attraction movie.
And it's a real haunt.
I was there this year.
Yes.
Oh, Waldorf, man, that's another one on my list.
Yeah, it was really cool. She played it out where it's not just walking through the movie, but certain scenes are. So like she kept it intact but added more. Like you obviously can't go into the basement because there's only one way in and out. You'll never get traffic through. So she created a basement room that looks like the basement.
Okay.
So it was really cool.
She did a really awesome job.
And then they have Terror in the Corn, which is you're basically walking through horror movies.
Like,
yes,
it was probably one of the best horror movie ones we've seen. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, that reminds me of Woods of Terror. Woods of Terror has like a lot of like those movie type scenes. So it's so many good haunts out there.
I know, man. It's impossible. We can't get to all of them. Do you have a favorite horror villain?
Oh God, that's really good. Wow, that's a really good. You know what? It's not exactly. Well, I guess it's kind of horror adjacent action. I love Deacon Frost in the first Blade movie.
Okay,
he's such a dick. I mean, his Steven Dorff's personality in that movie is just amazing.
I met Steven Dorff.
Oh, that's cool.
I grew up in Atlantic City, and when they opened the new casino, when they first opened the Borgata, it was a big deal. So I had actually got in, and Steven Dorff was there. So he's popping bottles, all these girls everywhere, and he walked by. I'm like, Steven Dorff, man, huge fan. And he shook my hand, gave me a hug. He was just wasted.
That's cool.
But it was still cool to meet him.
I also I got to give a shout out to David Howard Thornton from Terrifier, and I've met him in person, and we've had him on my show. He's he's so cool because he's absolutely terrifying. We were at Spooky Empire, a horror convention down here, and he was doing a photo op where he was in the full makeup. And as we were walking down a hall, he came out of a side room like to cross us, and it was the scariest thing I think I've seen in person, because I'm like, wow, this character could completely murder me. He's such a sweetheart. He's such a nice person on the show. So it's kind of hard to reconcile those. He does like an awesome Joker voice. He's just really cool. Damien's really cool too, the director. So
yeah,
we know a lot of those folks.
They had a lot of success with too. I was happy for them.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, we had them on before they did the Terrifier 2 when they were doing the GoFundMe and all that stuff, and it was just blowing up, man. It was really cool to be a part of that moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome. All right, so weird question before we get back into our favorite world here.
Sure,
Do you believe in ghosts?
I do. I do because I grew up in a haunted house, and I've always been. I'm going to stop giving the disclaimer that this sounds weird, but I literally grew up in a haunted house, and I've always been very sensitive to that. And yes, I do. I do believe, and we do a little bit of ghost hunting stuff, but I don't want to bring anything home, so we don't do too much.
Nah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just posted our story 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We lived in one for about 5 years, and it was pretty extreme. A lot of crazy shit happened. So, yeah, we're with you. All right, so I'm going to do 11 before 10.
Okay.
I guess it's just like me. You got a little list of questions. I'm like, Melissa, ask this one.
It's just easier.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so, and they're numbered completely because I just kept adding shit.
That's fine.
What catches your eyes first in a great scene? What's your first detail that you see?
In a haunt?
Yep, in a
I am a big fan of lighting and sound. Like if a haunt has a good soundtrack or and some sort of underlying noise or static, I think that adds a lot to a scene. I don't think a lot of people pick up on that, but it's kind of hard when you've been through a gazillion haunts where you're just like, you start to have an ear for it or an eye for the lighting, that kind of thing. But when that's done really well, that just makes HauntScene a lot. No pun intended. That can just really bring a lot more out of a scene. We did a haunt in Sebring, Florida. It's about an hour and a half south of me, and they had this weird old-timey nursery rhyme that was playing in the haunt, but it felt like you were listening to it, and it was the radio you were listening to was being drowned underwater. It was the craziest thing I've ever heard in a haunt. Like if there were like Oscars for haunts based on certain categories, it would probably win best sound design. It was really cool.
That's a cool idea.
Yes.
Yeah, the biggest one we saw with sound was in Insidious 2. Do you remember the scene where they're in the church pews and they have the covers over them, like all the bodies?
Vaguely.
So Field of Screams had a scene similar, but they're standing with sheets on, and Tiptoe Through the Tulips was blasting. And I've never been so uncomfortable in a scene because I can't see which one's moving, so I know one of them's coming, and it's hard to get me. But I was waiting to get gotten in that room. But that has stood out, and they don't even have that room anymore. It just still sticks into my brain every day.
Yeah, I love the static props and then the live actor. I've seen that a couple times. Yeah.
I miss that room.
Yeah.
They still have it, but they don't have the sound pouring through. So what scares you when you were inside an attraction?
So we all have our different phobias. I'm claustrophobic. I've always been claustrophobic. And little kids or very small actors, like puppets or dolls, they get me. And I found myself doing the Haunted Lair on the east coast of Florida, and I didn't know this, but it's actually like a community thing, and it was built by like a community and like kids and stuff, and all the scare actors were kids. It was like it was hell. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. Because they were like, they were in a circle around me, jumping and chanting, and it was just, I'm like, I may very well die in here.
What scares you? Everything.
No, I'm not that bad.
No, you're not that bad.
I just don't like Jason.
It was funny. I'm gonna tell this story with you and the Haunt Informer.
Oh God, yeah. That was hysterical.
We went to a haunt one night with the Haunt Informer. He had you.
We know that guy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. But we went to a haunt together, and there was a blackout part. Blackout, feel around maze. So I get to the exit, and I'm hanging out with actually Beetlejuice. Actor portraying Beetlejuice, sounded just like him, awesome dude. So we're still waiting, and I'm like, what are these two doing? He's like, I don't know. You want me to get a flashlight and go find them? I'm like, no. They've been through 4,000 of these. They can find their way out. These two got lost.
We did. We stuck together, though.
That's awesome.
I'm like, how did you two get stuck? And the general public, I completely understand, but you two.
You know what? Even pros, man.
Oh, yeah.
We get turned around.
You get turned around. I was doing a couple of years ago. They opened up the Limp Brewery in St. Louis. Larry Kirshner, the guy that was the Darkness and Creepy World, runs that. And I swear to God, and I still to this day don't know who did this, but he opened it up, and it's like 3 stories underground. It's an old like brewery, and the whole thing was dark and filled with fog and static props. Like there weren't any actors or anything in it. And I was going through the haunt, and all of a sudden somebody grabbed my wrist, like grabbed my jacket, like my wrist, and they pulled me through like a door. And I don't remember. I remember seeing the outline of the door, and I thought it was like one of my friends or somebody I was there with. And then I get back in the haunt, and I keep going, and I'm like, this haunt's going on forever, and this thing's going on like forever, like crazy. And I recognized something I'd walked back before, and seen, and I realized that whoever had grabbed me, like I said, I still don't know to this day who it is. They had pulled me back to about a quarter of the way in the haunt, so I got to do the whole thing like twice, and that was darkness and loud music and fog. It was just that one was pretty intense.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So speaking of Creepy World, have you been there yet?
I have not.
I'm dying.
I've done Darkness. Awesome. Darkness was like one of my first like big box, like, oh my God, haunts. And like literally the next day I was already kind of overwhelmed because it was my first year at Transworld. And like the next day, my eyes hurt. My eyes literally hurt because I had them open as wide as they would go the entire time. And apparently my body didn't like that. So my eyes were sore because it was just haunt porn. Wow. It was just eye candy. It was amazing. So yeah, definitely do that one. But I haven't done Creeper World yet.
Yeah, I keep hearing about their hayride, and I'm like obsessed because it's all like giant mock-ups of all the houses, like Amityville, Nightmare, and all them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm very interested in getting there. That might be the spot this year.
Okay,
we'll see. We haven't figured out where we're going yet. I know
we keep going back and forth.
All right, so what must-see haunts do you attend every year without a doubt?
The only thing I can say is we do our Florida haunt tour. Some highlights here in Florida, and I'm not saying we don't put one haunt over another, but we love going down to Fright Nights down in West Palm. When we're down there, there used to be a haunt called Enigma. A lot of those people, they do Nightmare Village, Horrorland Miami. So we definitely do a South Florida trip every year without fail. Like that's one of our things. We go down to a restaurant called Flanagan's, eat there 3 nights in a row. a big part of what we do, and this is kind of where we're getting the haunts, bites, and frights, is we're going to start kind of focusing on some of the places we go, make a night out of it for the haunts. Because, if you drive 2 hours and just do an hour-long haunt or something like that, you're going to get more out of your night if you, do things and, go out to eat and that kind of thing. So we're going to do a little bit more of a focus on that. This weekend, we're actually going up to North Florida. Tomorrow night, actually, we're going to go up to Jacksonville. We're going to do a 13th floor up there. They're doing a Valentine's Day event. So we always do different year events. And then, I don't know, man, I can't really go without naming everything in Florida. Petrified Forest, Halloween Horror Nights, Hollow Screams. You got 2 of those down here. We go to Sir Henry's Haunted Trail, Undead in the Water, Vault Souls. I mean, there's anything we can get our hands on, Tales of Terror. There's anything, and I feel like I'm going to leave somebody out and they're going to get mad, but
don't be mad. It's okay.
Every haunt we can do in Florida, we go like that. Yeah. Our must do is checking in with every haunt that we can in Florida. Other than that, when we get out of state, we're somewhat different every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a kickoff haunt, one that opens earlier than the rest, and that's usually the first one you're at?
Yeah, we've kind of settled into kind of a flow because everything, like the first week of the haunt season is kicking off in the first week of September, that's Horror Nights. And the
Yeah.
week after that, Howl Scream opens up. The week after that, some of the haunts here, like the independent haunts, start having their media nights. So we get through that. Usually the first or second week of October, we do South Florida, or we switch that the week up with our road trip or something like that. So we've kind of gotten into a flow. We've done this a couple times. So yeah.
Yeah, we always Field of Screams is actually our start. They open the earliest for media night, their second night open, so
nice.
We get to go hang out with them.
Well, we start off. I mean, the last couple of years, I've started off at All Hallows Eve, Terratown LLC in Williamsburg, Ohio, because they have an awesome media night. It's like an old Wild West reenactment town that somebody bought and converted into a haunt. So it's like a Wild West town meets a haunt. It's like Westworld with haunts. It's really cool, and they got some really cool people there, very talented characters. It's literally an old Wild West town. James Gregory, awesome dude. Love it. There's little shops and things and all kinds of drinks and food and stuff. And the trail, I mean, this is one of those, like, if you wear the glow necklace, they may very well bury you alive and cover you in blood and dump you in water and stuff. So that's been our kind of kickoff thing. Usually they do that like in the third week of August. So that's been kind of our start thing, just because we love them.
That's very awesome.
Yeah.
So what are your plans? Oh, well, I'm skipping ahead here.
Yeah.
What would you say your highlight of the 2022 season was? Any wins? Any, milestones? Things like that.
Let's see. We had a good season. A lot of it was a blur because we were just doing a lot of them very, very fast. I do want to give a shout out to my friends Oscar and Patrick they have what's called Screamland. And it wasn't exactly a haunt, like you walk through a haunt and somebody jumps out and scary. It was more of an immersive experience. And I think that one kind of stuck with me more than anything else. Not to say anything else I did was bad.
Right.
It was just because the situation was so unique. That one really kind of called to me. And I love the immersive stuff, man. Have you ever been to Rise in Alabama, Tickfall, Alabama?
Not yet, no.
They have an asylum experience and they update the storyline every year. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is so well done. It is terrifying. It's funny. It's intense. It's really, really cool. Loved it. The haunt there is awesome as well. You might as well go to the 13th Gate in Louisiana, because that's like, like how I said haunt porn earlier. This would be like the centerfold of the haunt porn magazine. Like, it's just that one 13th Gate is just amazeballs, man.
Yeah, they have like a Jack the Ripper scene, and you're like,
oh my god,
you're in like London.
Dude, so just not a spoiler, but you know how they have those, like, they have them at Dent. You walk through those like waist deep bodies. It's like one of those claustrophobia bags.
Yeah.
So they have that in a room, and there's a strobe light that kind of like pops every once in a while, and they have scarectors, and it's just a huge pile of bodies that you're walking through, and it's just moaning and scary. I don't know if they still have that though, because I think they were saying they were going to redo that scene, but that was just insane. And they had the whole smell, and they were walking through the plague, and it was just
that's fantastic.
So good. The sight lines and that. They're just on another level.
I want to go down there now.
Oh my god, dude, we did a really good tour through like New Orleans.
That's what we wanted to do this upcoming season, but the hurricanes scare me. Because I mean, it could really just ruin your weekend, and then you just flew down there for nothing. So I'm torn. I think between New Orleans, because I really want to do the mortuary.
We did not get a chance to do that one. That was on our road trip that year, was on our list. And the problem that year had was that was 2020 for us, because Florida was, under a lot of everywhere was under a lot of restrictions. And in New Orleans proper, in order to do any indoor stuff, you had to have your vaccination card.
Right.
Now, we were all vaccinated. We just didn't bring our cards with us. So when we walked up and down Bourbon Street, you couldn't really go in anywhere because you had to have your card to get in anywhere. So that's why, thankfully, things like New Orleans Nightmare and stuff wasn't actually in New Orleans, the city
Proper,
New
right.
Orleans. So
Right.
we were able to do some other stuff. So that one we had to kind of reroute, and it was a bummer we didn't get a chance to do that one.
So there's 4 down there we can hit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, while you're down there, you might as
Might as
also
well.
you might as well hit Terror on the Coast
Yeah.
in Mississippi. That's like a huge movie warehouse they turn into a haunt. And it's the scale of that place and the props you see. This is stuff that they're literally like a fabrication company for different movies, and you walk through it. It's really, really cool, and they are the nicest people there. So we love that. We met a lot of really cool people on that particular trip.
Back in the air again.
Yeah, we keep going back and forth.
So you touched on what are some of your plans for the rest of this off season?
Well, my off season is going to last about another 6 weeks. Towards the end of March, right before my season kicks off, HauntScene Live Tuesday night starting in April at 8 p.m. EST on
There you go.
Facebook Live. Sorry, had to plug that.
Now
in there.
go for it.
But we are doing Fear Expo, so we'll have a couple people there. I'm teaching a class there. That's another thing that I like to do to get back to the haunt industry is use my perspective to teach haunters on things like the patron perspective. Here's what I see. Here's some opportunities for social media. You know, there's a lot of very easy things that a lot of haunts can do to really increase their presence and recognition.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is that your first time speaking at one?
No, I taught there last year. Last year I taught a class on Instagram. Instagram is like it's my favorite platform. It's our main platform. Although we are going to be shifting focus just a little bit. We're going to start to we haven't really ever focused on YouTube. We're going to put a little bit more of a focus on that this year. But last year I taught a class on just how to grow on Instagram. Like basically it was like Instagram for dummies or Instagram for haunters. I'm not calling haunters dummies, but it was just like here's how this platform works if you want to grow. If you want to just post stuff, it doesn't work like that. Nobody grows in a vacuum. You got to know the algorithm and all the little things with the hashtags and what the algorithm wants in order to grow, and leveraging other people, collaboration and all that stuff. And this year I'm teaching a class on how to leverage technology to engage like a haunts audience on social media. So I'm going to talk about things like scare cams, drones, 360 cameras, GoPros, smartphones, little things that haunts could invest in to exponentially put out their presence and give them some content to put out there on the regular.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'll be talking to you about the Instagram thing because we've been shadow banned for 5 years now.
Oh man. Instagram, 2 years ago, they got to give props to Kira, our photographer, because 2 years ago we were at one of the Valentine's Day events that we just went to last weekend, and we just kind of hoed and hummed around on Instagram. I think we had like 3,000 followers or something like that. And she's like, we need to clean up our feed. So we just started posting 100% of our content. Let's just say 99.9% of our content on Instagram is original content. We don't repost things.
Yeah.
We just, whenever we go to a haunt, we just get as much stuff as we can. We're very run and gun with our content. And then, we cleaned it up. We learned the platform, and actually it was about within this last week, we just had 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw.
That was a pain in the ass, man. That was hard. That was a hard thing to grow on. Like Facebook was we got a pretty decent, audience on Facebook. We got a pretty big audience on TikTok. Instagram is the hardest thing we've ever done as far as something we focused on. I know YouTube's also probably going to be a little bit of a beast, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it takes time. It all takes time. Like, I'm very hard on myself.
You can't be.
I know.
It's
such a niche thing, but I like growing. I like change.
Well,
I like, you know what I mean?
You want that validation.
Yeah.
Like that. That's the thing is, if you're just, if you stream and you're not streaming and nobody's watching, or if you're posting content and nobody's, responding to it, or there's no engagement, it gets frustrating, man. And there are these like highs and lows with content creators that a lot of people don't understand. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we started, this is our 8th season.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started 7 years ago, Instagram kind of took off. I'm like, all right, cool. we're over 1,000 followers in a year. I'm happy with that. And then we hit 15 that off season. Like, all right, cool. This is moving. Boom. We haven't got over 1,500 since then. Very interesting.
Sounds like you need to take my Instagram
Oh, I'm
course.
going to take your Instagram course. That's for sure.
It's a lot of it's once you get going with it. I probably the easiest thing I would recommend is focus on reels, because Instagram's really pushing that right now. So just little clips of things, and then we use a tool called Flick. It is a paid tool, but it's a hashtag like research tool where you can see like the competition of different hashtags. So I kind of have that whole platform broken down into a science, and we've had a lot of success with it.
All right, we'll talk more about that. All right, so any major ideas coming for the next 2023 season?
Yeah, so I think it's time for us to grow up. And I say that as I just remodeled this room into like a studio a couple years ago. So I put a lot of effort into my show. But I think from an idea standpoint, as an entity, I think it's time for us to start to find a way to not monetize or profit off the haunt industry, but find a way to get sponsors and things like that to help us along our journey, because what we want to do and what we can afford to do when it's all coming out of our pockets is starting to actually separate. Like we want to go to every haunt convention ever, and we have to pick like one or two.
Yeah.
So we're going to go down that route. I would not want to do HauntScene as a full-time job. I have a full-time job that I absolutely adore, and I'm good with that. I don't want to profit off of haunts, but I think it's time to start looking at being like a nonprofit or a 501c or something like that, to where we can, for people that want to support what we do, because we just try to promote the haunt industry, where they can invest in that, and then we can use that to help grow our platform to then in turn focus more on the haunt industry. So that's where I think we're kind of going next. It will take a little bit of time, and it's going to change. We got to figure all that stuff out. But it would be nice to do that. And I've thought a little bit about expanding the team a little bit. To always have people available to do these things.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm kicking around. One thing that I don't think we'll ever do is outsource our content. There are entities out there that will accept content from everywhere to grow their own platform, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just not what we want to do. Everything that we show, everything that we show on our show or in our social media, we were there. Like if you see a picture, one of us took it.
Yeah.
So, but just kind of figuring all that stuff out.
Yeah,
And,
we take the same approach. Like if it's up on our website, we did it,
yeah.
or someone that we really trust did it. Because I found someone just into haunts and like you can't just be into haunts. I want them to actually know what it takes. Like I prefer someone that worked at a haunt, because the behind the scenes. If you just run into like a beautiful attraction, you go, well, that looks dumb. I'm not interested in that. Like I need like a background for them, and that's how it's hard to find people. And the one guy I found is in our damn area.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean that stuff can kind of be learned.
Yeah,
like my co-host Melissa Lukac. When she started out, she's a Horror Nights nerd or whatever, and she had to learn the lingo and the vernacular of the haunts and what to look for and all that stuff. And I have to do a couple, but now she's all desensitized. She walks through a haunt. She used to be my joy of going through a haunt, was watching her get the crap scared out of her. But now she's all hardcore. So I need to find a new guinea pig to get scared in haunted houses.
Yeah, when we do the Field of Screams, they let us bring 4. And I'm like, well, I'm going to bring 2 chickens. Because to me, that's the funniest, is watching them run through.
Yep. Yeah, I always stay towards the back, and I'm not saying haunts don't get me, because they do, and there are some haunts that we know like personally, and they're gunning for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I like to watch well, until we got a new guy named Casey, but up until then it was just me and three ladies. So I used to call them Johnny's Angels, you know, and I'd walk them go through a haunt and they would just get wrecked, you know, so it was fun. Because they have their own fears too. By the way, Melissa Lukacs is scared of spiders. Kira doesn't like laser swamps. We don't know what Casey's afraid of yet because he's invincible apparently. And then Shelby, I don't remember what she's scared of. We'll have to figure that one out too.
Oh, set them up.
Yep.
So, a lot of haunts share a lot of things. So you see a lot of the same themes through a haunt. You know, like fog rooms, clown room, stuff like that. What would you consider the most overplayed scene theme that's shared today?
I'll answer it this way. So here's the thing: is have you ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
You know how they have the board with all the creatures on it and they're taking bets on it? You can literally do that with the haunt industry. Like there's only so many different combinations of settings and characters, and people still invent new stuff, but it's a lot of it's just different things in different combinations. One thing that literally turns my brain off in a haunt is black lighting and clowns, and it's even worse when it's blacklit clowns. Like there's something in my brain that just like, you are not being entertained anymore. Let's just get through this. And it's no offense to any of the haunts. It's no offense because I know blacklight's a very cost-effective, cool thing to do. A lot of people like blacklight stuff. A lot of people have coulrophobia. They're scared of clowns, but that is not me. So yeah, blacklit clowns. They're cool to look at, I guess, but they just don't do anything for me.
And that's where I'm at with the hillbilly scene. I think I just had enough with the hillbilly scenes. It never scared me to begin with, so now it's just like you said, there's a list you can go down to, and 90% of the haunts out there is going to have that scene. So I'm just like, that's my one. That's just like kind of over it.
Yeah.
I live in kind of a rural area here in Polk County, Florida, so a lot of that's kind of blurring the line between reality and whatever here.
That's blurred the line between the scene and the house next door.
Yeah. But it's funny because I have actually had somebody watch the show that knows that I'm not like into clowns, and there are a lot of cool, awesome clowns in the haunt industry. I don't take anything away from them because they are huge and they're awesome, and I love how everybody gets all into the characters and stuff like that. But I've had people say stuff to me going through like, "Oh, I heard you don't like clowns," and I'm like, I'm not scared of you because you're a clown. I'm scared of you because you're a person that just called me out on that. Please don't murder me.
Oh, that's so funny.
I love you, clowns who are out there. You're all amazing. I'm just not scared of you in a haunt.
Well, I mean, I never was a clowns either, so what are you gonna do? So, to backtrack that question, what do you want to see more in attractions? Like maybe a favorite scene style, maybe a favorite lighting style, stuff like that.
Well, here's what I want to see more of. I want to see more alien abduction trails.
Okay.
So we had there's a petrified forest here, and I guess for over like a year or two, every time I messed with a haunt, I'm like, oh my god, I heard about your alien trail. They actually did an alien trail this year, and they announced that to me on the show, and I about lost my damn mind. It was hilarious. But it's weird because like everything could be made scary, I wouldn't say a lot of things kind of play the hits. When you go see like a band that was like in the 80s or 90s and they're touring and they're just kind of playing the hits. I think we do see a lot of very similar overlapping concepts in the haunt industry. You don't see a lot of sci-fi stuff. Even though there's stuff like you can go do like Netherworld or whatever. Like you said, there's hillbillies, there's whatever, there's insane asylums, there's all kinds of stuff. I just like it when it's well done.
Yep.
Give me some sort of give me a way to connect to whatever story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
Don't just throw something at me because you feel like you should just be checking boxes for what's in your haunts. One of the most difficult things that I have a problem with when I'm going through a haunt is my brain changing gears. Like when you walk in one scene and it's like zombie hillbillies, and you walk in another scene and it's like blacklit clowns, and then you walk in another room and it's like give your staff room to grow. Give your story enough to kind of stretch out there, because my brain can only handle changing gears so much in a haunt. And like, I don't know, like now we're in the zombies, now we're in the vampires. It's just like, I like haunts that have a very unique theme,
Yeah.
and they stay within that theme, but it's done really well.
Right. No, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
Yeah, don't just check boxes. We have to have clowns because that's what we think we need. No, have clowns because that's part of your story.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, we're friends with a ton of actors. So we started, hashtag house, hashtag trail, hashtag hayride, hashtag drive through, because, there's some of those now. What's your favorite type of attraction?
Well, I like the immersive stuff.
Right.
I like the not extreme stuff. I'm actually not a fan of that. We've been in a couple, and I'm there to schmooze, and I'm there to look pretty and do things on camera. There are haunts where it's just like they'll dirty up or tie your hands up or whatever. I am personally not a fan of that. It doesn't do anything for me other than just make me uncomfortable. And if I'm uncomfortable, I'm probably not enjoying myself.
Right.
But other people are into that, and that's perfectly fine, because I'm glad that there are different things in the haunt industry for different people. Not everything is gonna click with everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what was the question again?
So do you like the house, the trail, the hayride?
I love man, I love everything.
I know.
Like I love being indoors. I like being outdoors. I love the haunts where part of them are indoor and part of them are outdoor.
Yeah.
13th Gate has that. The what the heck was the one we just did on this last road trip? I love the indoor outdoor stuff because it kind of throws you off your element a little bit. So I really like that. And
Yeah.
I love it when you walk in, like sometimes you walk in a very compact like hallway or whatever, and it opens up into a big scene. I
Yeah,
love that
that's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, my favorite's definitely the house because I'm closer to everything. Like one year, because of COVID, Bates Motel lets you walk the hayride.
Oh, that's neat.
So awesome. You
That
get to
was
like go
cool.
up to their scenes finally after like 30 years. I'm like, oh shit, there's a TV in that hotel room. I never noticed that. But I mean, like, hayrides are awesome. I love them. But you kind of miss half the show if you think about it. And some haunts are left side heavy, some haunts are right side heavy, depending on their obstacles within the hayride trail. So for me, I'm just on house.
Yeah.
What about you, dear?
I like the trails.
Trails?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like outdoor stuff, but the problem is being outdoors here in Florida, it's always hot.
You guys don't get that cool air.
I would love, my dream is to walk through a haunted attraction in the snow. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we did that St. Patty's Day
Kind
last
of,
year.
because they were indoor haunts, but
Yeah,
we went
but-
to Field of Screams for the St. Patty's Day, and it snowed like a foot. So, like, the midway was all snowed. That was really cool.
But yeah, we were indoors in
Yeah.
the two houses.
Cool.
So we already answered this. So is HauntCon now Fear Expo? Because I'm massively confused.
HauntCon used to be its own thing. It used to be a
Yes.
partner with the it was like the Halloween Buyers show, which I think is in Vegas now. And HauntCon, I think the main representative there is Leonard Pickle.
Right.
And I know he's on the board with Fear Expo, I believe. So it's kind of a cross branding partnership,
Okay.
I guess.
Mm.
But yeah. But HauntCon when it was in New Orleans was awesome. I mean, it was.
That was the second one I wanted to get to was HauntCon.
Yeah.
Now, we're both East Coast guys. Do you think an East Coast haunt convention will bring crowds?
Oh man. Well, I guess here's the thing is, it's just you got to worry about how you time these things, because it would have to be something different. Like it
Yep.
would have to be something like, I mean, God, you got Trans World Midwest Horrors Convention, you've got Fear Expo, you've got these other conventions here and there. You time them to where you can buy things at these conventions so they're ready for the haunt
Right.
season. If they had more of a, I don't know if this would work, but more of a, character showcase story, learn how to develop your character kind of thing, or maybe like they do on the West Coast, they do like the Hall of Shadows at Midsummer Scream, where they can
Yeah.
do like one, like if Haunts could do something on similar to that, where they could just give you like a little bit of the aesthetic there, I think something could work, but it would have to be timed properly, and it would have to be something different.
Yeah.
There's
More actor driven than
yeah,
retail driven.
yeah,
Like makeup companies can get you stuff faster than a prop company can.
right.
So costume companies can get you stuff faster than like the store did can. That's not a bad idea. Because like if you think about it, you take the Northeast, right? And you take a circle, you circle New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and come back around. There's 35% of the haunts in the country.
Yeah, that area is
I
stacked.
know. So like I always thought about maybe if we started something small, like actor driven, kind of like how we are actor driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad idea.
And do it in Orlando, Florida.
I
So I wouldn't have to travel.
I was thinking about doing it at Atlantic City Convention Center. Yeah,
Well, people want to go to Disney World,
that's true.
and different cons have different rules as far as like, can you dress up and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think with Trans World, and I'm not sure if it's the same with Midwest Horrors Convention, but my observation, and I believe this is to be true, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can really only dress up if you're associated with a company or a booth, because there aren't a lot of characters running around. There are character events outside of the floor,
Right.
like the ball and all that stuff. But yeah, but something where people just dress up and go nuts, that'd be cool.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. So we're coming close here. What are some goals you have for HauntScene in the 2023 season?
Main goal this year is to figure out the nonprofit thing, get all that stuff going, get all the paperwork in there, start to figure out what the incentives are for sponsors. As far as a voice and like knowing what we do and where we fit in the haunt industry, I think that's kind of starting to settle a little bit. Because I think we do have a fairly unique voice in the industry. But just kind of figuring that out to help springboard us to be able to do more things, attend more things, and travel a little bit more to do that stuff. And just continue to meet people, network, schmooze, connect with new haunts, reconnect with our old friends and haunts and things like that, and just kind of keep going. So I think we're on the path. We just got to kind of just keep at it.
Very cool. Where do you want HauntScene to be in the next 10 years?
Well, I'll be retired, so
You'll be
so
in Hawaii.
here's what I want HauntScene to be. I want HauntScene to outlast me, and I don't mean like I want to die or anything like that. It's just I want my show and I want our entity to be something that is a cornerstone in the haunt industry. I want to be the travel show for haunts. I want people to lean on us and other content creators to really show how rock star these haunts are out there. But if I could, somehow, some way we get along with like 99% of the people we meet. So I want to keep that going, and I just want to be that go-to thing. And I want to, one of my goals is I want to teach at some of the bigger conventions like Trans World, and I want to offer my perspective, maybe do a little bit of consulting, that kind of thing. Because I'm not a patron. I'm not a normal,
Yeah.
run of the mill schmuck that goes through a haunt. I've seen some stuff. So I think I've learned enough about the haunt industry at this point to be able to effectively talk about things that are could be improved, opportunities, that kind of thing. So I've got some ideas for that kind of stuff. That'll be a little bit down the road, but mainly it's just continue to set something up, HauntScene, where HauntScene will still be an institution indefinitely, so we'll see how that goes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the floor so you can plug all your socials and tell people where to find you.
Well, it's really easy because one of the first things you should do when you're a content creator is go and make sure you can get all the same damn names on everything. So there's a tool for that. It's called Name Checker. You're welcome. You can go in and check and see what's reserved. So our website is hauntscene.com. If you want more information about what we do, go to hauntscene.com. Our main platform, as I said earlier, is Instagram, HauntScene on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. Technically, I'm on Twitter, although I don't like Twitter, and HauntScene on YouTube as well. We're also on OnlyFans and Farmers Only and FarmersDaughter.com. We're on Hinge and I'm just kidding for some of those, but we got to make some money somehow. But yeah, all the major platforms we're on there, and one thing I always say with plugging what we do is if anybody ever needs any help or some guidance or anything, I've made a lot of mistakes in the time I've done HauntScene. I haven't, there have been things that I wish I would have done better, and I think we're good now. But if somebody needs to reach out or they just need a nudge in the right direction, please feel free to reach out. We're very accessible online. If you're reaching out through one of our platforms, it's probably going to go to me or hauntscene@gmail.com if you have any questions. I will do, as long as you legitimately want to promote the haunt industry, not just yourself, I will do whatever I can to help you out. So, yeah.
Sounds fair.
Yep.
I completely agree.
Yes.
Well, Johnny, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Is this going to be like a video podcast?
Yeah, well, it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Spotify.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Oh, definitely.
Thanks for coming on.
We can check in at some point in the future. And,
oh yeah.
I appreciate it.
You got it. Don't hang up yet. I got one question for you.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys. But this has been Halloween Haunts 365.com, the podcast where every day is haunt season. See you next Monday.
Bye.
Night after